Hi, gang. You're listening to Burlesque Unleashed, and my name is Dinah Dare.
And I'm Aya Storm, and here we dive into the latest dilemmas, deliberations, and dramas in the burlesque scene.
And you got it right. Woo! We chat about different topics every month and share our views. We say this like we haven't been dropping 2 episodes a month, but we are not committing to doing that going forward. So
It's
we are still saying,
officially
yeah,
one a month.
it's officially one a month. We're just not very good at sticking to
When people ask for things, we get excited and we go, okay.
we do.
But yeah, today we are throwing it back a little bit and we're going to talk about some newbie pitfalls and perhaps sharing some stories
Basically,
because
this
we've
is a
all been there.
I was going to say this is a humiliation ritual in the form of a podcast today because it's just you and me going, yeah, we fucked it
Yeah.
repeatedly.
Yeah, this is no
Um,
judgment. This is our
yeah.
our sharing circle.
Yes, this is a safe circle. Even like I don't care who you are, who you're listening to this, you're now in our circle of trust.
Hmm.
Please don't laugh at us.
But you will.
Yeah, but you will. Um, would you want to start us off?
Sure. Let's uh let's dive right in. What we should start off with was how long ago are we talking about for us?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I started solo burlesque in 2020, lockdown baby. So that has been coming up on 6 years.
Already, that's insane.
Isn't that wild?
I I'm like 2020 was 3 years ago. I was December 2018, so I am in my eighth year of doing this nonsense.
Yeah.
Um, which is wild to think about. I'm not gonna
Do you
lie.
not feel it feels like not that long ago, but it also feels like forever ago?
Yeah. I also think for me to say I've been doing this is my eighth year. Fuck, lockdown took about 2 years off of me.
Yeah.
At least a year, if not up to 2 years off of me actually getting to perform on a regular. And yeah, I was still doing stuff in that time, but we've touched on it before. I don't know if it's been in one of these or in one of our interviews that like for me personally, I didn't use the lockdown time to upskill in burlesque because
Mm.
I had personal stuff that I was deciding to deal with. Don't recommend that. So I didn't necessarily use that time for burlesque wisely. I used it like in other ways.
Yeah. Whereas I
So
kind of used it as like learning time and I guess sort of name building because we couldn't
yep,
perform.
yeah. And we need to talk about social media at some point. That's a whole separate episode because I think that plays a massive part into the way that we used it at the start and how we use it now is very different. But
Definitely.
it's a
That's a
whole
whole
separate
other
topic.
episode.
The whole episode, it's a whole episode. I have so many things to say about that. But yeah, so I suppose like you started off quite differently from
Yeah.
me, but what would you say was some of your, if you think back, what are some of like the initial mistakes that comes to your head that you made that you're like, fuck.
I think one of them, and I'd advise people not to do it, is actually trying to rush the newbie phase
Mm,
in terms of like, it's okay to, I'm bad at being bad at things. I'm bad at being a beginner. And I see it a lot because I get asked people ask me this question and I was almost asking the same question myself where I was kind of like, how do I fast track the newbie phase? I want to just
mm,
get through it and then be like established. And I think that does a disservice to yourself
mm,
as well as it's not showing a true respect for the art form that I do
yeah,
have now, where I was like, I think because I've been kind of interested in it for a long time, but for like, day job reasons and whatever, couldn't actually commit to like getting on stage. Also thought just because I wasn't a professional dancer in the sense of like I hadn't gone to a dance college and wasn't doing
mm,
it full time, it wasn't open to me. Like it took me a long time to actually go, oh no, I can do this. I felt like I'd lost a whole bunch of years and
yeah,
that I should have been doing it from like the age of 20, which I don't agree with now.
yeah.
um but yeah, I think you put a lot of unnecessary pressure on yourself.
Yes. I
You
definitely would say that as well. I was like, I debuted in December and I was like chomping at the bit for gigs in the
Yeah.
January. And like, Yeah, it was definitely trying to rush it. I think my biggest one is I rushed into making more acts too quickly.
I feel like
But I
that's
think
really
that's
common.
so common. And I think there's two sides to that. So for anyone, I know we've got a very small US base that listens to us, and it's slightly different, but we have to have, for most shows over here in the UK, we have to have two acts.
Yeah.
So if you're debuting with one, you need to quickly churn out a second, or it feels like that.
I
And
guess there's kind of newbie shows and scratch nights, isn't it? It's if you want to
yeah,
start getting into more like professional productions,
yes.
there's limited opportunities if you've only got one act.
Yeah. And even then, Scratch Nights up here quite a lot of the time in Scotland want two acts.
Really?
So
Okay.
all sorts that used to run was two acts. We now have the Curtain Collective, which is two acts.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah. So a lot of the time, if I do a Scratch Night now, which is very rarely, but I'll tend to do like an established act that I maybe just want a better video of, and then like my new
Yeah.
act. So, but I definitely rushed into making acts without really considering, is this what I want to make? They weren't as well thought out as my first one. The costumes were, thankfully, I didn't invest a huge amount in those costumes. I made that mistake a bit later, but we can talk about that. But yeah, I feel like I definitely rushed out with a bunch of acts
Mm.
and didn't really spend the time working out what was actually for me, what was best. Um, yeah, I just kind of rushed out and made the next things because I wanted gigs.
Yeah, and I feel like that's really common because, like you say, especially in the UK, we all need at least two acts. When
Hmm.
you're new, you're trying to kind of figure out what it is you want to say, what your style is, that kind of thing. You want, a lot of people do just want to get booked.
Yeah,
So you might see a theme show, I don't have an act that fits that theme, I can make one. Or
yeah.
does that, there's another theme show with a similar theme, or does this mean I need to have all
Hmm.
these different acts? Which, yeah, I think that definitely, I remember feeling that pressure. And I think one of the things, and it's still a thing that I think about, even jumping from, say, your cabaret shows to trying to get into like the corporate sphere. They
Hmm.
love a theme. So being like, oh, do I need a Moulin Rouge theme? Do I need a 20s theme? Do I need like a disco theme? Do I need, there's common themes. And then you can feel that pressure to need to do them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it rarely serves people. Sometimes you can get lucky. Sometimes you can get lucky and you might put something together for a theme. Like we have cabaret roulette down here, where they literally don't know the theme. Like the cast do not know the theme until after they've been booked.
Yeah.
They spin the wheel the night of the previous show and then they go, right, everybody who's in the audience who's in the next show, this is your theme. And then they
Mm.
have a month to create an act to that theme. And, there's some artists that have come up with like some of their best acts there. And it's something they've been forced to put together quickly. So I don't think it's always wrong. Sometimes you can make magic, but I'd say that's the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah, there's a creative pressure that sometimes brings out something amazing. But
Mm,
a lot of the time, I know for me when I started, it was just like, and it's something I've had to learn to rein in, to be honest, is I now realize that when I get an idea, I have to let it percolate.
mm-hmm.
I went through a phase talking about throwing money away. I went through a phase where I would have an idea and I was immediately buying costume pieces for it. I was immediately
Yeah.
like sort of, well, no, no, no. I've got acts that I've got an act that I did once in real life. I've got another one I did once online, and I've got another one that actually never saw the light of day. That's wasted money
Yeah.
besides anything else. And I think that's one of the key things is to not jump into just like creating
Mm-hmm.
constantly. There's no need. Sometimes you do need to sit and let that
Sorry,
like
my Siri just jumped up there.
uh, sometimes you have to like, is this do I need this? I also think there's an element of now when I'm creating an act, I look at what I've got
Mm,
and I think, does this idea that I have in my head fit a gap in my repertoire?
yeah.
But also, could I pair it with any of my other acts? Because I ended up at one point having two acts that were very similar,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the concept, and so I retired one because I was like, having the two of them doesn't make sense. And I
Yeah.
think that's something you have to be conscious of when you're creating as well, is like, are you filling a gap or are you just creating an act you've already got? Like,
Yeah,
could you
because you
do
want
both of
something
those acts?
shiny and new.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, could you do both of those acts at a show and it doesn't look like you're just doing the same thing twice? I think that's a
Yeah,
really good litmus test.
definitely. It's like curating your own repertoire,
Yeah.
which is it's a skill in it of itself, and it's not something that you have straight away. And again, until you've tested a couple of acts a few times, you don't really know which ones get booked more often, which ones get booked universally versus like, oh, this only gets booked in a particular type of show.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I would have done my werewolf act quite as early as I did now, because not that it isn't me, because it is. I feel like I didn't have the chops to pull it off at the time. I feel like it started to get more popular now because I'm a
Yeah.
better performer, that I
Mm,
can sell the concept much better. Because like that costume was an investment.
mm,
That
mm.
was my first big expensive costume, and it was my third act. And I put in the development time, like I did one-to-ones, I worked on it, I did all the. I feel like it was maybe 2 or 3 years in, I did the thing of creating too many acts
Yeah.
quickly. I was careful to begin with because I had a very good teacher in Evelyn who was like, don't just rush out a bunch of acts, like develop them. So I did that for my first like 3 or 4 acts, and then I kind of
Mm.
went. um, but my werewolf, I feel like I invested a lot in the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't have the performing chops to make it what it was in my head.
Hmm.
So then it sat barely used for a long time. There'd be the occasional show that would book it, but like it's not the kind of style for everything. And
Yeah.
again, as my style evolved and I discovered actually I do probably lean more into like classic but with a rocky edge. Whereas my first couple of acts were very character based acts.
Mm.
It's my character based acts that get booked the least, probably out
Yeah.
of my entire repertoire. So then it became an outlier, even though at the time that I made it, I was like, this is absolutely my style.
Which is so funny. I've meandered to my style. I started with character-based acts and then I meandered off. And I've kind of meandered back to character-based acts where I'm like, or at least like strong concept-based acts in terms of like My Baby Bell and
Yeah,
Pleasantville and that kind of stuff. Like that's probably the space that I sit in comfortably. But I
yeah,
suppose that's another thing as well, talking about mistakes. Try to pick your style from the get-go is fucking, you need to experiment.
yeah, you absolutely do. And I think, yeah, ending up being wedded to a particular style can actually do you a disservice because it
Yeah.
stops you from. I mean, like, branding is very important, but you need to figure out what your brand is first. And also, some people's brand is being a chameleon.
Yeah. And that's totally fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely think there's two sides to me. I'm either like serious and mysterious or a fucking gremlin on the stage and something like that's it. There's no in between. I can't do anything in between.
yeah,
That's it. But yeah, I think there's an element of you need to take time to get to know yourself. And again, going back
yeah,
to we will have a completely different episode about social media, but I think unfortunately social media has meant people don't have time to experiment with who they are.
yeah, because you have to put it out there.
You have to have a brand straight away.
Yeah,
Straight away. And that's really not how it works.
no.
Um, Applying to every show under the sun even shows that you are so not even remotely ready for.
Not remotely ready for it. Don't fit the casting. Just
Oh, I
for
have it.
so many application mistakes. I've probably talked about my biggest embarrassing one that I think maybe it was when I did your podcast. We spoke about this when I was super new and I just
Hmm.
moved to, it wasn't even London, I'd moved to Guildford, so I just moved down south.
Hmm.
Had been doing dance troupe stuff in Scotland where, see, this is the problem. I accidentally fell into my first cabaret gig. So then I thought, oh, it's just easy. You just ask for a gig and they give it to you.
Yep. Yep.
Because we had a Facebook message come through from Frodo being like, oh, we need dance troupe for this
Oh,
cabaret gig at
yeah.
Tea in the Park.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, hell's yeah. So that was my intro to doing cabaret gigs. So I thought that's just how it went.
Mhm.
No, no. So, I just moved down, was like looking at what shows there were and stuff, and saw 100 Watt Club. And I was like, I want to start dancing again because I didn't have a troupe there. I was like trying to, embed myself in the community and like pick up my
Yeah.
hobbies again. So I was like, oh yeah, I've done some like cabaret dance troupe stuff. I can totally, I'm sure somebody down here will want that. Found the 100 Watt Club. Emailed Lena, if she's listening to this, and was just like, "Hey, I've done this is X, Y, and Z. What I've done. I have this idea for a dance troupe. This is the kind of stuff we would do. Do you want us?" And Lena was very gracious and lovely, bless her, because she could have been like, she could have just ignored me for one. She could have been
Yeah.
like, this is not how you apply. She was like, we kind of need to see the finished product. But this sounds lovely, and when you're further along, feel free to email again.
Oh my God,
I'm
at least she
sorry,
was so
Lena.
nice.
She was so nice. And now, as a producer, when I get applications like that, I do catch myself for a second being like,
Oh, I'll give you
but
a worse one than that. I'll give you a much worse one than that. I don't think I've ever told anyone this, and now I'm fucking telling a whole
the
podcast.
world.
I applied to the Cocoa Butter Club because I didn't fucking read it, did I?
Read the casting. Read the casting.
I am the whitest bitch in the land. Fucking performers of color only. That I remember, I can't even remember the full details. I just remember, I think I saw Sadie's name in
Hmm.
one of these casting Facebook channels saying that she was casting, and I don't think it specified performer of color, and I just didn't check.
Yeah.
Right, this is also research your fucking shows. Both of us research your fucking
Mm.
shows. Yeah, I never got a reply, and I don't blame her for not replying to me. I'm not gonna lie, I've never held it against her because fuck me,
Fair
what was
enough.
I doing? Yeah, you're lucky if I'd been performing 6 months. Um, I was just trying to fling my shit out to everyone
But I
because I
think
was
this is what happens, isn't it? Is
hungry.
people are chasing, you get hungry, you get excited, and that's valid. You start chasing absolutely every booking, but you're not. I think that my advice is slow down, read and research, and just understand that not everything's for you. And I mean,
But
I see experienced people doing it now. There was a casting that went up recently, and I know people probably don't mean any malice by it, but how frustrating must that be for not only the producer, but other performers of colour, where they see a casting that is for them, and there's white people commenting on it, being like, me.
yeah, I didn't
It's
even
like,
comment. I just actually went on and like fucking sent my details in like an absolute twat. Honestly, that's the worst one because like obviously now I know, and
yeah.
I was like, I'm just so embarrassed for that hungry little baby Dinah who just wanted to be on stage and didn't read it. Yeah, that was
Read
one
the
of the worst
castings,
ones.
people. Read the castings.
It's just, I get it though. See, when I see people doing it and I see people complaining about it, I'm like, I've been there.
Eager.
You're so eager, and it comes from like the goodest place, but
Yeah.
it comes from a place of, I'll just throw this out to everyone and
I
someone will
think it's
like
like,
me.
it's thinking about the essence of burlesque, though, isn't it? All of this. I feel like the thing is, you get excited and you want to do all the things. You want to create all the acts and apply to all the shows, and it's literally just like burlesque isn't rushed.
Yeah.
And if we apply that behind the scenes as well as on stage, oh, she's on to something.
I'm like,
To just
was someone on Ginger Valentine's class last night, Aya? Because this feels
someone
very
was
ginger.
she would Ginger would have a great little acronym for it, which I don't have. But yeah, it's that thing of just like slow down, let yourself cook, think before you act, before you speak, make them wait for it. Just maybe make them wait forever if it's a performer of color casting and you're white. Keep
You're as
them
white as I
waiting.
am. You don't need to stay.
Because
But
yeah, it just
yeah,
does
like I
it does you a
think
disservice in the end, doesn't it? Because it does not help you.
this is the thing. The first time Sadie will have seen my fucking name would have been on it. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not actually doing yourself any help by putting something out that's half cooked. And the problem is when we all start, we think that we're great.
Yeah.
We know that we're not perfect, but we think that we're great. And then as you get more time, you're like, oh, oh no, oh you poor
Yeah.
sweet summer child.
Yeah. Literally. Once I started to like look at shows around and then was like, oh, 100 watt club, eh? With no product. Good one. Good one. Smart decision.
Yeah, and I think yeah, just read and also don't feel the pressure to do stuff. I think there's a pressure. I was speaking to someone the other day about festivals, funnily enough, and we're recording
Mm.
this the day after our festival episode went out. Um, there's like a rush to be international. There's a rush to win an award so you can say your award winning. And I remember
Yeah.
feeling that. I definitely remember feeling that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um, there's no like you work on your own timeline. It's absolutely fine. Like the one thing that always sticks out in my brain is Honeybee Rose talking about how she applied for the same act every single year to Beehoff for
Hmm.
10 years before she got on that stage and won with it
Yeah.
because it took time to cook.
Yeah.
So yeah, like give yourself the grace of space
Hmm.
and don't pressure just because you see someone else who is, we've talked about this, people will become flavors of the month.
Hmm.
And this is not criticism for anyone, this is just how people work.
Yeah.
Where a new performer comes on the scene, they're brilliant and they pick up every single gig under the sun. And if you're maybe at the same level of them and you're seeing that, it can feel shit.
Yeah. But it can't last. Especially
No,
in the
and
UK, our scene is small.
our scene is so small. But it's a case of, right, that's happened to that one person, great. Your time will eventually come back. Again, I feel like I've been watching Ginger's stories too much because she talked about this, like, your time will come around. It's just not your
Yeah.
time right now.
Yeah. What was it? The moon's not always, it's not a full moon all the
No,
time.
I don't fucking know. She always has such pretty ways of words, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
But it's so true. Like, it's not this, it's very
Up and
wavy.
down. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, if you don't have, I mean, if you're always booked all the time, you don't have as much time to think and upgrade and repair and rest, which you need to be sustainable.
And
So, like,
rehearse. Like,
yeah,
you've not done an act in months. Take it out, play with it, put your music on, find new ways of moving, find new patterns. Don't be married to your choreo so it never changes, like as you
yeah,
change as well. I think that's a really easy thing to do.
yeah.
You only do the act when you actually take it out.
Hmm. I literally did this week. I was doing Venus. I don't have it booked anywhere. But we're doing a content day soon, and I was like, I could do some new content of Venus, but also I hadn't really worked on the choreo. I did a one-to-one with Betty last year, and then didn't have the time
Mm.
after that to actually work on that act. And because it didn't have any bookings, I had no reason to keep working on it. So I was like, well, I don't have it booked at the moment, but I'd like to work on it.
Yeah.
Let's bring it out. And actually, it was so nice to do that and to just feel how I've changed as a performer to then put that back into an older act
And
and change
sometimes you
it
can
up.
just put an act down and walk
Yeah.
away from it for a little bit and then come back to it and be like, this is okay. Hi, old friend.
Yeah.
What do you look like now?
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been seeing a lot of talk about like retiring acts recently, and I feel like obviously if an act completely doesn't fit you, then absolutely throw it out. But I wonder sometimes if people are retiring acts because they no longer fit their level. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? And I was feeling that with Venus. I was like, should I? Oh my God, what's my hair doing? I was like, should I retire that act? Because it's not to a rock song, which is kind of my brand. It's not at the level of the majority of my other acts because I just hadn't really picked it up in a while. So I had been like, do I just get rid of it? But then I was like, no, I actually like it. And because it is different to my other acts, not in such a profound way that I think it's like that it doesn't fit me. I'm like, maybe we'll keep her.
Yeah, I think
And
that's fine. I went through my ex recently and I have retired a couple. But that was me again going through these and going, is this what I want to present anymore? Is this me? Does this fit? Do I want it?
yeah.
Does it get booked? Do I want it to get booked? Am I excited if it gets booked?
Mm. That's a good one. That's a good
Yeah.
question, isn't it?
Yeah, like if this gets booked, am I excited about performing it or does it fill me with dread? Because if it fills you
Yeah.
with dread, it's not your act anymore.
Yeah,
I think that's an
definitely.
interesting question. Because at the end of the day, we do this because it's fun, right? See if it's
Yeah,
not fun anymore, fuck, why are we doing it?
quite.
Because it's not for the money.
Certainly not.
Um, you produce.
I do produce.
You started producing quite quickly.
I did start producing quite quickly. This is on our list of things not to do.
I don't think it's a mistake for you, but it can
Yeah,
be.
it can be. And actually, I don't feel it's a mistake, but I will give a balanced view of
Go for it.
how I think it's gone.
Hmm.
Because background, I was part of the Uni Dance Society up in Glasgow. I was on the committee and was a choreographer. So like I was for like 7 years was involved in producing
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
large dance show in a theatre with like 120, 150, I think we had dancers by the end. That
Nice.
company grew from like I think it was 30 odd when I started to yeah over 100 when I
Wow.
graduated. Yeah,
Wow.
it got big. I think it's
Hmm.
continued to get bigger. I occasionally look at them on Instagram and they've gone to like they were doing stuff in like the SECC. Anyway, so I
That's
had
a different conversation
that's a different
entirely.
conversation. So I had experience with things like what you need to run a show both backstage and in terms of promo and organization and curating a running order. You know, we would have these multiple hour meetings where we would sit down as committee and we'd have like 20 dances and we'd go like, right, how do we arrange these so that the running order makes sense
Yep.
and that you've not got 20 people having 5 million quick changes?
Mm.
You know, so like I already knew, obviously cabaret and burlesque are a bit different, but I had some foundational knowledge of
Yep.
how to run a show. um and then I started co-producing with Zizi, who had been in the cabaret world for a few years before we kind of teamed up together. So I kind of had a little bit of, I had support and I had background knowledge, and I think if I hadn't had those things I wouldn't have started producing. You
Yep.
know, and as the coven we all said, let's wait until we've got a year's experience under our belts. You know, we produced a couple of online shows, but we waited
Hmm.
until we could get out and perform so that we could understand how these shows work from a performer perspective, things that are done well, things that are not done well. Like you have to be out there and involved and seeing how it all works for good or bad to
Yep.
understand what goes into being a good producer.
Yep.
And I think there seems to be a bit of a wave at the moment of people producing literally straight away. And sometimes you can tell the ones that have experience and the ones that don't. Especially, I'm being careful what I say. I've taken a lot of courses. So I know how different schools in London teach things. And there's a particular school where they set up their showcases in a particular way
Hmm.
that's a bit different to how it works in a normal show.
Okay.
And then you can tell when those students go out and produce straight away because their
Um,
shows are constructed in a similar way to their student showcase.
okay.
And you think this is not sustainable and this is not realistic. You can tell they've not gone out and seen
Yeah.
how most shows run.
Yeah. I think I did a little bit co-producing in my fourth year.
Mm.
But I'll be honest, I did have the support of the person I learned from. So I stage managed. We used to have a monthly like school show at the Writing Rooms on
Yeah.
a Wednesday night. And I essentially stage managed every single one of them. I got to co-produce one with another person who was interested in producing. Like we basically got handed the reels for one of them. Like we booked the performers, we did the
Mm-hmm.
money, we did everything. Miss Burlesque. Scotland that ran in 2019.
Yeah.
I stage managed and got to be involved in like the setup of that. So I had a hell of a lot of experience through that.
Yeah.
Add on to the fact that I am a project manager by trade. Um, I am the person that organises fucking everything and every friend group I've ever had. I'm the one that organises them. So it became very like producing was quite natural for me in that respect.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd also like I knew that I wanted to pay well. I had an idea, like me and my co-producer had an idea in our head of what we wanted, like, the level we wanted the show to be, who
Hmm.
we were pitching it at, what we wanted in the door, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. But part of that was also we went and saw loads of different shows.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we kind of picked and chose like we sort of, cherry picked what we liked from different shows.
Yeah.
The vibe that we wanted, and we sort of created that very intentionally.
Hmm.
I
I
do
think that's the
think,
thing, isn't it? It's thinking
yeah.
about like it's what are your reasons for producing? What is it you're wanting to produce? Are you
Hmm.
just producing because you've been told that's what you have to do? Is it for the
Or are you producing
prestige?
because there's no other work?
Yeah. Yeah, and like if you don't have any knowledge of the scene as to what you like, what you don't like, what sells well, what doesn't, what
Hmm.
area, London's massive.
Hmm.
Different types of shows do well in different areas of London. And
But also know your level. Are you a newbie show?
yeah,
Are you a newbie show? That's totally fine. Are
yeah.
you getting in people that are of a higher level of you and you're filling the newbie slots if you're newer? Like what
Where do you
like
fit?
yeah, what like are you a scratch night? Nothing wrong with scratch nights. We need like they serve a purpose. However, if there's already 10 scratch nights in your area, please don't
Yeah.
start another one. I don't think people realise the politics that come with producing either.
No, and like it opens you up to a lot of judgment.
Yeah.
People are watching what you do, and if you do a bad job, again, it doesn't help you.
No.
And if you're very new, I'd say putting yourself straight up for producing, it does put your mistakes under a microscope
Yes.
in a way that I mean you might not make some of those mistakes if you had a bit more experience behind you.
There's also an element of if you start producing, and this has happened to me, if you don't book certain people, they will take a fucking huff.
Yep. Yep.
They will take a fucking huff. And you need to be in the mindset that you can handle that.
Yeah, it just adds a whole extra layer of politics on top of being a performer, especially, and it's a completely different skill set, right? We have some cracking producers in this country who don't really perform themselves, or maybe
Mhm.
don't perform outside of their own shows. Um, we have some incredible performers who wouldn't necessarily be a good producer, and there's lots
Yeah.
of, performers who don't produce because they're like, I don't want to, because
It,
it's a
it almost
totally
like,
different skill set.
yeah, but I also think if you're thinking about doing a show, go back to what I said at the start of this chat. Like, I look at gaps in my repertoire and think, does this act fill a gap? Look at the shows in your area.
Yeah,
Does your show fill a gap? Or is it just you want to produce?
yeah.
And then go to an existing show and ask if you can help, if you can shadow,
Mm-hmm.
can you do a bit of producing? Is there any chance that they could maybe eventually in a few months hand over the reins to you to produce one of their shows with their oversight and help? Like
Yeah,
I
I
know
was
that
just
you
about
guys
to say
do a
this.
lot of
Yeah,
that.
I was about to say shameless plug.
Yeah.
If you are in London or are going to be in London at the time of clandestine, we offer shadowing and mentorship. So you can come and you can. It doesn't mean you are working for free. You are not doing the job. You are basically following the person, and we have a chat with you about how it works. You can either follow me and Zizi as a producer and help us run a show on the night and see how it all works. You can follow Faye, who's our stage manager, cracking stage manager. Again, it's to show you the ropes, to do it with somebody so that you're
Mm.
not on your own. Our tech, Elsie, also is happy for people to shadow if you want to learn how to do like sound and light tech, front of house. And it all means you get to see a show for free and you're also getting to learn these roles without just doing them without any training and being expected to do it well.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still doing it at the moment, but I know Tempest Rose used to run them through House of Burlesque. They would have fresh nights, which were student scratch nights, but she would bring on someone as an assistant producer. So you could
Oh,
literally produce a show under the guidance of a professional, and you were working with your other students. And again, it was like front of house, stage management. You could sign up for these roles as well as
here's the other thing I
performers.
don't think anyone thinks of. People have one-to-ones. You don't have to do an act review or an act development. You could do a one-to-one with a producer
Yeah,
and ask them how to produce a show. Get them to talk to you about, walk through your plan with you or help you with it.
yeah.
Like,
Lena, I think, does these online where she'll do a call with you and you can ask her all about that stuff.
yeah, a one-to-one can be used for whatever you want.
Yeah. It's
That's
yeah,
quite a
it's
good idea.
doing your research, doing your learning, being prepared before you jump
Mhm.
into things.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, I think it is, and it's this is maybe another thing, but it's being mindful of the industry.
Mm.
And I'm not perfect. I've definitely made mistakes, but one thing I've tried to always be mindful of, even when I was brand new, was being mindful that I wanted to move into the professional space, but that your actions matter, even if you are unpaid, amateur, brand new. Everything you do affects the, like, we're an ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
And whether you're at the top or the bottom, your actions affect people.
But I think that's a difficult one to navigate because we have
It
both
is
had
tricky.
conversations with people who are newer, who are afraid to say things or do things because they are worried at how it will reflect on them in wider conversations. So I can understand why
I don't necessarily mean that. I mean more things like
professional standards,
professional standards.
adhering to professional standards.
Yeah, so like you say, it's setting up a show 5 minutes down the road from somebody else who's got the exact same type of show, that there isn't a need for that in your area
Hmm.
because you want to. That doesn't reflect, oh, but we're amateur, we're just, we're doing this for cheap, they're professional. It's like, yeah, so you're undercutting them.
Yeah.
Or the same with gigs. Oh, I'm happy to take that gig for, 20 quid because I have another job I don't need to do, blah, 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 blah. You've just undercut a professional. And then that booker is going to continue to offer really shit rates. It's
Hmm.
things like that that people don't always
I
think
also
about.
remember something that happened to me just sort of in line with that was I got booked for a show up in like fucking Aberdeen or some nonsense like this. And I was not even a year out the gate. And they were pitching me as like one of the best burlesque performers. And like I, on their promo, and like I hadn't said that.
Yeah.
And I remember a performer said to me, like, you want to be careful with that. And I was like, I didn't tell them to say that though. I was like, that's
But
not the
people will
bio I
think that
gave
you
them.
did.
They've edited that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that goes into when if you're producing or you're in a show, think about how you're being marketed and how you're marketing that show. Because if you're
Yeah.
marketing this as there's a show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival that I'm going to straight up fucking call out, and it's called I know, look at you, your tea. Um,
The biggest
it
mug of
calls
tea.
itself Best of Burlesque.
Hmm. The best of burlesque will not touch that show.
The Best of Burlesque will not touch that show, but it pisses me off because
It's called best of burlesque.
it's called Best of Burlesque, yeah, and
Yeah.
like the public are going to go and see that and think this is the best. And I'm not saying there's not good performers in that, but the actual bit, the top tier will not touch that production.
Yeah.
So you need to think about your marketing and like overstating your skill set,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
suppose,
actually
was what
I
that
actually
rant
was
was about.
thinking about this as both over and understating.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that, like, when I'm hosting, I'm not a great host, but one of the things I try and do when I'm hosting, we always have a newbie slot in clandestine, which is otherwise
Yes.
quite a professional lineup. I tend not to introduce them as the newcomer. I
Mm.
outro them as the newcomer, because I don't think it helps to be like, be nice to them, they're new,
Yeah.
in an otherwise professional production.
Yep.
And, sometimes I've seen bios and, applications and things that kind of overstate how new the person is when they're
Mm-hmm.
actually very talented, and maybe they're a professional dancer before they got into burlesque, or they're an actor. There's something that makes them like they've come in at a higher standard than somebody
Yeah.
who's never been on stage before. So again, it's understanding your level, which unless you go to lots of shows and watch a lot of burlesque and get involved when you're not performing as well as when you are, you can't have really that good of a litmus for that because you've not seen enough.
It's also really hard because like your bio is selling yourself. There is an element of
Mm-hmm.
selling yourself in your bio,
Yeah.
but you also have to be very like writing a bio is a whole fucking skill set that I have still not managed to.
It's hard.
Like, considering I know how to write, I'm not. I feel like it's the British Scottish person in me that's like, oh, I can't talk
Don't make me
about
talk
myself
about
in a
myself, oh
positive
no.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do it. Makes me uncomfortable. Um, someone gives you a compliment, you do the scrunch nose thing.
Mm.
Um, but there's a line there is a line where you want to sell yourself, but you don't want to set up an expectation that you cannot then live up to.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're, or assigning yourself superlatives and titles that you haven't kind of earned,
Hmm. But this is
the
like
X, Y, and Z of
I
burlesque,
feel like
are you
award
though?
winning has become a really fucking empty phrase because of that.
Yeah.
Like, see, when I award winning doesn't really like I imagine to the general public it does, right? But I feel like internally within,
It's like, yeah, but what award?
yeah, I'm a cunt about this with my day job as well. Like, see, my partner works in EDI. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, and
Mm.
sometimes he'll be like, "Oh, I saw this company that are like, oh, they're award winning with our
Are there
EDI," and
all
he's like,
awards
"Yeah,
that you
but they
buy?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
literally, it's an award that they've got by giving money to someone. And
Yeah.
it's a bit like someone goes, I'm award winning, and it's like, you got that at a show that gives everyone an award.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just a bit like, I feel like it's an empty statement now. That's just a
See, I,
total side note that has nothing to do with it. But I suppose that's me saying don't feel the need to chase award winning in your
yeah.
bio because it doesn't necessarily mean anything anymore.
Yeah. And I think, again, yeah, like don't undersell, but also don't oversell yourself. And I feel like I'm a chronic underseller. And I
I
think
feel
part of
like
that
that's
comes
again
from,
the Britishness and the Scottishness in
it's
us.
not even just that. It's also like the day job that I do where, like, there's one route in. You have to get this qualification. You can't, there's not like, you can't just, gain experience or whatever. Like, there is one gateway to this career. And beyond that, specialists and things, you cannot call yourself a specialist unless you have a particular qualification.
Yeah.
So therefore, I always came into it being like, oh, I'm hesitant to use titles. Like even when I was billed as a headliner in Zurich, Jolie Papillon was like the top headliner, and then I guess in another festival I might have been a feature or a guest,
Yeah.
but they billed it as headliners, and all my friends were like, "Put that in your bio," and I'm like, "But I wasn't really the headliner." Do you know what I mean? I'm always like, "Oh, but I'm so hesitant until I'm like, no, I absolutely can back this up that I am
Mm.
qualified to claim this
I
about
know
myself." It's hard.
we've talked about this before. I don't know if we've ever talked about it on a cat on a pod before, but
Mm,
we've definitely talked about the fact that we come from like very different backgrounds professionally, and I feel like that does feed into how we work in this job professionally as well. Because you come
yeah,
from a very you need to have these qualifications, you need
very
to be
regulated. Yeah.
super regulated. Mine is not. Right? I fell into my job. I'm good at it. I fell into it. The qualifications I have are qualifications like I have degrees that are nothing to do with my job. The qualifications I now have in my job, I have got when I have been doing the job. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't an entry like qualification. Like I didn't
Mm,
need to have a certain qualification to get into it.
yeah.
And so I sort of tend to view like going into burlesque was easy enough for me because I didn't feel like I had to be a
Whereas I
professional. Like
had
I
that
did these
mental
classes.
barrier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I had these classes and then I could perform. Cool, like I'm learning it. I'm learning as I go. Like I didn't feel like I needed, and I think I probably put less in my professional life, I put a lot less like onus on certifications and like that kind of thing because
Yeah.
that's not my experience.
Hmm.
And I feel like that does tend to shape how we approach things as
Yeah.
well, even in this, which I think is really interesting that like
Hmm.
your experiences of your professional job, this professional job, our experiences of our day profession
Yeah.
influences our approach to our evening profession, which makes it sound like we do something else in the evening, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We are ladies of the night now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I feel
It's
like that
so
was a very
interesting.
convoluted story, sorry.
And yeah, it is interesting to think how that kind of plays into it. And I wonder how different people's both roots into burlesque and like kind of experiences they've come from. Like if you're kind of finding yourself in burlesque, are you more likely to undersell yourself
Yeah.
if you've kind of just fallen into it? But also, again, I feel like it's figuring out your level. It's figuring out what about you is valuable. And I feel like I'm at less risk of overselling myself because I'm so hectic about like, oh, but actually, am I qualified to claim that about
Yeah.
myself? But I've shot
100%.
myself in the foot before where, let's say I've shot myself in the foot. I undersold myself because I never had it before and I've taken it out and never used it again. But for a particular show casting, I decided to put the year that I graduated from my burlesque classes into my bio. Um, and the producer sent me a nice enough email back saying, oh, the fee you're asking for is actually what I would pay for people that have been doing it for more years. Haven't watched your videos yet, by the way, but based on when you have qualified, based on when you started, I don't think you should be asking for this rate. And it was actually a rate I'd already been paid by several shows. So like, if I'd said nothing, what would their impression of me have been?
I don't, I am of the opinion that people don't need to know when you started.
No,
Your audience doesn't
absolutely.
need to know. Does your audience have a good time? Cool.
Yeah,
They don't need to know. Therefore, and again, if you're pitching yourself, if you're known in the community, people probably got an idea of how long you've been doing it for. But
yeah.
also sometimes you don't have any clue. Look at LSD that we met in Strasbourg,
Mm,
lovely human, just did a
gorgeous
post the other
performer.
day. Gorgeous performer.
Yeah,
Just did a post the other day. Time this goes out about fucking 5 weeks ago, where they talked about people were saying, "Oh, I can't believe you've only been doing this for a year," and she
yeah,
talks about the work that she's put in for this past year to get there. And I think that's the thing, like people don't need to know how long you've been doing this for if you're a good like you're there to entertain if you entertain.
yeah. Also, like time on stage is not linear, right? You could
And
have been
very
perform
dependent on your geographical location also.
Yeah, and like you could have been performing for 5 years, but you do one student showcase a year. You could have been performing for 5 months, but you've gone straight into full time and you were a professional dancer or actor or something before burlesque. Like the
Or you've
time
just
from,
taken to it in a way that no one else has ever
yeah.
taken to it ever.
Oh my goodness, one of the acts at the Black Burlesque
Right?
graduation, Goldie.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
This woman is going
you
to be
were
everywhere. Our flabbers were gasted.
yeah, you messaged me and I was like, what's this? What's
Standing ovation on your debut
amazing.
in the
Yeah, some
Clapham
people just take
Grand.
to it, right? Some
Yeah,
people just take to it.
some people are just natural, and that's the thing. And yeah, being like, oh, I've only just graduated. Like somebody like that does not need to say that. She can just be like, here is me.
Yeah. Here I am.
Yeah,
Give me space on your stage, please and thank you. I think
yeah.
you would
It's
immediately like
hmm hmm It's about what you're delivering and it's about what you're putting out there. It's not about, again, I think it can get quite gatekeepery as to
hmm
like, oh, you have to do X number before you should be charging X amount. I'm like, nah. I think, again, talking about fees is difficult because it is different for everybody, and
Yeah.
just because someone's been around for a long time doesn't mean they can command a high fee. And just because somebody is new, if they're very good, that doesn't mean they should be stuck on like a
hmm
newbie fee if they're producing professional quality.
Yeah. And it's these are all things that are really hard to get around, like, or hard to navigate, I suppose.
Yeah,
Um, Not get around, but yeah, I think undervaluing or overvaluing. I remember speaking to someone and they were saying that they had a producer down south and they were saying that I think we might have spoken about this as well. Some newbies had come in asking for like two, £300 and they were like
I've heard
a
this.
month out and you were
Yeah,
like, I'm sorry, who are you? What
yeah,
what what the hell?
yeah. And not for like exceptional standard, just like what
Mhm.
you would expect for somebody who's new.
Yeah.
And again,
And I was
that's
like,
just like a lack of knowledge of the scene
hmm
and a lack of being plugged in, I think, because obviously like if you're new and you've not been part of the scene, you don't say know a performer. You've just entered, you've just started performing. How are you to know these things? You can't possibly know them, but it's getting plugged in with a good community and a good teacher.
which probably ties into a note that you've put down about schools actually.
Yeah, and I think a school can make or break their students, and it's hard when you're new. Like one of the first course I ever did, I was looking at the schools and I was like, this one is longer. So to my mind, I was like, that's longer to like produce good work.
Hmm
There was a few that were like 6-week courses that I was like, that feels rushed to me. So I went with this school and was very lucky to have Evelyn as my teacher, who's amazing. But like the class sizes were too big. She couldn't give all of us the time. It wasn't realistically
Yeah.
that much time. And it's looking at like if you want to it's what do you want to get out of it, like are you just doing it for fun and empowerment, in which case go off, do whatever you like. If you actually want to be a working performer or think that you might want to and you want to be on stage, I think it's important to find teachers that support opportunities for their students and that encourage you to see the wider scene. Teachers that are or have been working performers themselves, not just in their local area, especially if you're from a small town. Obviously, London's a bit different. You could absolutely just work in London and have a full career there. At least you used to be able to.
In the old days.
In the old days where we had shows. um, but yeah, I think newbies can get trapped by schools, and there's a particular, I don't even want to call it a school because it legitimizes it, but there's a particular scammy course lady on the internet that is very good at marketing fluff.
Yes.
And if you are not plugged in with legit performers and teachers and producers, you might not recognize that they are not a figure of any stature in our scene. They don't get booked anywhere. Nobody really works with them. The only competition they do is not of good reputation. And they charge a lot of money, and people pay them a lot of money for, business coaching and things. But it's like, if you're new, I'm about to launch a business course, so this sounds really, really hypocritical, but I swear to God, it's not. The business stuff
Shameless
isn't.
plug number two.
The business stuff is important and you need a bit of business knowledge. However, if that is the focus of the teaching and it's aimed at newcomers,
Mm,
the focus should be on how you create and how you perform. Like, do you want to be a performer or do you want to be an advertiser?
yeah.
It's just
I
my
have
thought.
I have many, many, many thoughts about skills. But I think my main thoughts are if you want to do this professionally, and whether that's professional hobbyist or professional, right? Because professional hobbyist is a thing in this
Yeah,
industry, let's be honest.
yeah,
Um, you want someone who will teach you how to actually navigate the world of burlesque.
yeah,
And some teachers are just there to teach you to dance and to help you do an act and then maybe book you in their shows afterwards. Um, but they'll maybe keep you small
yeah,
and not encourage you to go outside of that circle. or only encourage you to work with very, very, very few people and are maybe quite shitty about a lot of other people in their scene.
Yeah.
And those are the little red flags that you need to watch out for. You want someone who genuinely wants to see you flourish, who will give you the information to allow you to flourish,
Hmm.
um, who will encourage you to go to other people, who will not bitch about other teachers in that area,
Yeah.
who will support whatever your endeavors are.
Yeah.
Um, there's I can see it from a teacher's point of view in that if you go out there and you are a student of their school, they don't want to be associated with something you're maybe doing that is shitty, but then there's an element of have they maybe not given you the skills to not go out there and be shitty? Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
it's
Like, I
also
think
like
it,
it's like a parental rule, isn't it? You got to let go.
yeah.
Are you wanting, if you're a teacher, why are you teaching? Are you teaching so that you've got a little community that you can rely on?
Mhm.
Or, for your income and things, like fair enough, income is one thing. Or are you helping people to grow and flourish on their own?
There's too many almost cult-like figures that teach
Yeah.
that there's definitely a cult of personality with teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very easy to think that you're friends with your teacher and very quickly realize at some point that you're not. And I think that kind of professional personal relationship is something that's really easy to slip with burlesque.
Yeah.
Um,
Because it is so,
again,
we talk a lot about community, and a lot of people find themselves in it. They
yes,
come to it with a need for something and they find that.
yes,
And then I think, intentionally or not, the person who's helped get you there can take advantage of that
yes,
and use it to their own
definitely,
gain, and it's not about you.
yes, yeah. So I think it's schools are a hard one. I think research them. Don't just necessarily go to the first one that comes up.
Go to their
Go to different
shows.
go to different
Even.
ones, go to
Yeah.
shows. The best thing you can do is just go to a billion shows.
Yeah.
Um, remember that school's not the only option. Like
Yeah.
you can come up with an idea and start to work on it, and you can just contact a performer and do one-to-ones with them. And if maybe, like I don't know how people work, but maybe if you're going to book like a series of one-to-ones, you might get a discount. Like these can there's different options to necessarily joining a course. The thing about
Yeah.
joining a school and a course is there is a community aspect to it, which is how a lot of us fall into this kind of stuff because we're looking
Yeah.
for community. But you just have to be very careful. There's a lot of egos in this industry.
Hmm.
And I think
And
that's one
people
of the
can be
things
very
that I
territorial.
so territorial. I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest things I found about this industry is we've all got egos, and if you're seen as a threat to someone else's ego, that can put a target on your back, and that's hard to navigate when you're
Yeah.
new.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
hard to navigate whenever it is,
I
to
was
be
going to say
fair.
it's always hard to navigate, but
Yeah,
especially
I'll
if you're
take that
new.
back anytime.
Well, because also that's, again, if you're only exposed to a small area or a small part of the scene, and you're not encouraged to look elsewhere, or you're not going away and looking elsewhere, because I think that's one of the best things I got out of lockdown was I immediately got exposed to like the worldwide burlesque scene, because I was on YouTube all the fucking time watching everything. And like I'm a paranoid person, and I like to research things heavily before I commit. So I had looked into everything. I had gotten as much of an idea as I possibly could before I even did any classes or did anything. Whereas if you just find your local classes and go there and you don't ever look outside of that, you can really get trapped there. And that person who's maybe runs a really nice community within that scene, but they're not encouraging you to go elsewhere, and you're like, I want to be a really good performer, that person will seem like the biggest person
Yeah,
in the scene to you, and it can be scary to go, actually, I think I'm going to go off and do my own thing. Not even
that's
go off and do my own
basically
thing, but just to like broaden your horizons. I mean, one of the things I've done since I started is I haven't stuck with one teacher.
yeah.
And that's not that, like, anybody that I've learned with has been a bad teacher. It's that I want to be a sponge and I want to get as many different, everyone's got different viewpoints, different histories, different styles of working. I like to work with loads of different people to try and see what makes me tick
Yeah. And I
and pick
think
up so
that
many
the
different
pipeline that
things.
you just described about like you just find it and you fall into it and you go, this that was me.
Yeah.
Right? I just was like, "Oh, I'll go with this. And like that person was like, they're a very good performer. And I was like, and that's they never actively encouraged looking outside, but they never actively discouraged it either. It was a weird line that they told. But it took lockdown and me starting to follow, like I always watched YouTubes and stuff as well, but like it took lockdown for me to start to kind of follow a wider set of performers and be exposed to a lot more. And then I started doing like on when people started doing like online one-to-ones, like
Mm.
lockdown changed a lot because that wasn't necessarily something people offered before that.
No.
So that opened doors for me to get again learn from other performers and learning online and stuff like that. Um, and it kind of broadened my horizons and made more things available for me. But that's definitely something that, like what you've talked about, if other people falling into that trap, same.
Yeah.
And that's probably a really big, we're talking here about, please learn from our mistakes. That's one of my mistakes. And I
Yeah.
think you really want to like go trawling on social media to find people to follow. Look
Mm-hmm.
up hashtags, look up nerd lists. Like if you're into nerd lists, look up nerd list festivals. If you're interested in classic, there's loads of festivals that specialize in that you can like we can send you recommendations if you and look at the performers, follow,
Mm-hmm.
21st century burlesque because they're always posting about different
Yeah.
performers.
There's
Like
so much information out there that doesn't involve going to a school and paying somebody money.
exactly, and it's also about stepping outside of what that one person is telling you
Yeah.
because you're only ever going to get their worldview.
Mm-hmm.
And you really want to learn, you want to expose yourself to as much as possible.
Yeah.
That was a very large side note around schools. We could do a whole fucking episode on that topic as well, but
I think my summary on that, as well as like good community, is not threatened by people coming and going.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, don't, this is something else I feel like, again, I never personally felt this, but I've seen it, is if you're watching your performers coming in and you're feeling threatened, y that's a you problem,
Yeah.
not being funny. If I go and see a new performer, I go, fuck me, I need to get better
Yeah.
to see if they're really good.
Yeah.
Like
You're like,
I
I gotta step my
remember,
game up.
yeah, like I remember being at Belfast and it was the beginners. I actually spoke about this to Maya on my one of my recent Behind the Rhinestones episodes.
Uh,
Watching the newbies and I was like, fuck me, how is this a newbie competition? Like, Jesus Christ, I need to go home and get better.
yeah.
Like, that's my response to seeing that. But I definitely know that other people feel threatened and feel like they want to minimize those people instead of realizing that
Mm-hmm.
actually you just maybe need to up your game.
Yeah. And I think if that's your mindset, you probably shouldn't be teaching.
Yeah, and should you really be performing? Like, it's also performers that are like that. Performers that see new performers coming on the scene and see it as a threat.
Yeah.
And you're
I
like,
see it as a
no.
challenge. A personal challenge to not just go, oh my god, they're so good, I'm never
Yeah,
gonna
there's
be
that.
that
Yeah.
good, but to go,
Uh,
right, yeah, let's step it up. This is the
yeah.
standard now. Okay.
Yeah, you're like, thanks, gang.
Let's
Thanks for
go.
that. Oh, that's like, is it? I'm gonna fuck up her name. Scarlett Van Syren,
Oh yeah.
Raccoon.
Yeah,
Fucking love that act. Ivy Malice is another one. She
yeah.
stepped on stage and I went, "Excuse me, I'll just go and retire." I was like, "Never mind. What is the fucking point?" But
Some incredible new performers coming out.
there's so many incredible new performers, and yeah, it's about like just kind of clocking yourself and going, "Well, I just need to get better then. I don't think
Yeah.
I'm as good as that."
Yeah, use it as inspiration. Like, somebody doesn't have to be years more experienced than you to be inspirational. You can watch someone who's new and go, ah, they're really good at this. I would like to go and work on that.
Yeah. Like, oh, they do this really well. That's cool. Like, I really want to learn. I really want to do like clowning with Callum
Mm.
because I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to learn from Velma, who's not been doing it for very like a
Yeah, she's
while that
great.
she's not been performing for
Because
very
again,
long.
we
But
all
like,
come in with different skills and with different viewpoints and with different, yeah, like, just because someone's new doesn't mean that they don't have things to contribute. Look at Don Voss, so unique,
so unique and
you
smashing
know,
it. I
smashing
think
it.
one of the best things I ever got told, and it was like, do you know that way where I can't remember if I heard this on a podcast or if I heard like someone say someone else said this to them or whatever. I cannot remember the context. But one of the best things I ever heard was someone was saying this person that originally said it was like when I go to a show, I'm not necessarily there to be. She's like, I know I'm not going to be the best performer on the show,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to entertain and I want to be the best person backstage for you to have
Mm,
backstage. And I think that kind of goes a long way to like, if nothing else, you're there to entertain the audience and then just be a nice person backstage.
yeah, don't be a diva.
Kind of feel like that's those are the most important things. As long as your
Yeah,
audience is having a good time,
do a good job. Be nice to work with.
done. That'll get
Turn
you a
it.
long way in this industry, and you hear it a lot.
Just turning your shit in on time. My God.
I realised the big one that I was going to mention before we
Mm.
wrap up. And every cunt says this, right? And I'll be honest, I ignored everyone for the longest time because I was like, yeah, yeah, whatever. Learn to sew.
Yes. Oh my God.
I knew you'd agree with this one. Learn to fucking sew because I put it off for years because I was like, I can pay people, I'm fine. I know I'm lucky enough to be in a financial position that I can get people to make my costumes. I was like, I can't sew for the fucking life of me. I am not putting myself through that. One, it's so much cheaper once you learn how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can make things that fit your body,
Mm-hmm. You can
your
fix things
shape.
when they break.
You can fix things when they break. You can upgrade costumes like Aya just did with her Thunderstruck. Um, it just gives you so much more. Like I'm currently in the process. I mostly make pants for myself. Like
Mm.
pretty much all of my pants are made by me now, because I really don't like that a lot of pants that you get. Um, the back is just like a bit of elastic,
Yeah.
and I like a bit of security.
A little
I like a
pouch.
bit of I like a little bit of material. Yeah, I want
Yeah.
material to I want a
Coverage.
I don't like it to go into like when it goes into like a
Yeah.
triangle and then it's just a I'm like what my party labia is gonna pop out of that, right? So I need a bit more security.
Yeah.
So yeah, I pretty much only make my own pants, but
Yeah.
honestly, life changing.
It's so life changing. Menage a trois.
Yeah, that's also who I learned from. I'm not gonna lie. And once you learn how to do it once, you can start to make your own patterns.
Yeah.
You can make different things. You can experiment. And at the end of the day, it's quite, like getting like I just buy my material off of Amazon. It's cheap as
It's
shit.
so much cheaper. It's so much cheaper
I
than
can
getting
basically
custom
make a pair
things
of pants
made.
for like less than a tenner.
And also, the thing is, this is kind of a side point, but you don't need an expensive costume to start.
No.
And if you can sew, though, it opens up so many more options and upgrades that you can do. You can
Hmm.
start with a Primark pair of underwear and get some lace appliques and fringing and things. If you can do a basic hand stitch, look at Frankie Fictitious.
Yeah.
She makes her own costumes, and a lot of them are made from like kind of basic garments
Yep.
that she's added appliques and rhinestones to, and those are the sparkliest costumes.
The blow my eyeballs off sometimes. I've always been able
Yeah,
to hand sew, but it was a sewing machine. I was like, I can't use a sewing machine.
yeah,
I can.
that does open up a huge, but even just basic hand sewing skills, like
Yeah.
you can take basic things and make them look bespoke.
Yeah.
Both Frankie and Betsy Bonbon do cracking workshops on this. because Betsy does a lot of her own stuff, and
Mhm.
yeah, using things like appliques and trims and paints and things.
I think Briona Ashley does something similar,
Mm.
who's in the States, because she did a workshop like that in Montreal, but I couldn't go. It just clashed with tech for me. But
Take
I'm
costuming
sure.
classes, guys.
Yeah, or like or watch stuff online. Like see the number
Yeah,
of people that I follow on Instagram that like or on my explore page a lot. There'll be like people making stuff and showing you how they're making it and they're like, oh, I'm
yeah,
making this headpiece or I'm making this costume and like they show you how they do it or they show you them like embellishing stuff and
yeah.
like
You can totally do that yourself.
there's something I've really been wanting to learn how to do but I don't have time where it's a form of embroidery but you know it's like that punch embroidery where everything's a bead
Oh yeah,
and it's like fully beaded.
yeah.
Um, I really want to learn how to do that, but it's extremely
Dang.
time consuming. But you
Yeah.
could like imagine beading patterns onto your like
Mm.
pieces.
Faye did that on her spring bra. She hand beaded that because she's crazy.
It's just
But it's stunning.
there's a very particular method that makes
Sure.
it like they're almost like appliques once you're done,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you put them on. And I was like, I really
Chris
want
O
to make
does this. Chris O has a lot of highlights on their
this. So
Instagram where
does
they were like,
Medianoche.
yes, yes, I've picked up so many tips from watching Media's highlights and stories
Yeah.
as to how she's done something, and then I've been like, oh, I can use that technique. I did not know how that was done,
Mm-hmm.
like
Well,
dyeing
it's
feathers.
a little, yeah, I've also been dyeing feathers. I don't like it.
It's scary.
Decided. It is scary. I don't like it.
It's a
I was
horrible process, but
just like,
it's worth
oh,
it.
oh
Where
no,
you
no,
just
no.
have a wet noodle for a while. You're like, I've ruined it.
Oh no, don't it gave me the fear. I was dyeing singular feathers and I was like, oh no, I've ruined them.
I dyed my boa 3 times because I could not get it to vibrant red because I was scared to leave it in the dye bath for longer than 30 seconds.
And I got to witness every moment of this. It was
Then
great.
then I left it in for like 15 and it was fine.
Yeah, they are fine. I ended up leaving my feathers in for like an hour at one point because I was like, ah, fuck it. But
I
these
didn't
are the
have the
skills that are
nerve.
super helpful that I didn't bother my arse to learn until about the past 2 years, and I genuinely wish I had learned them sooner because they have. Do you know it's probably the most repeated like tip that you see
Mm,
on the internet is learn to sew.
learned to sew. But I think that's one of the things that, not specifically sewing, but like the DIY aspect of
Yeah.
burlesque is one of the things that drew me to it. So I've kind of
Mm.
taken to that like a duck to water. And again, I'm a sponge. I'm like, oh, that's a good tip. That's a good technique. I like that. I like that. I
I
like
love
that.
rhinestoning. Like I could rhinestone until like I'm one of those people that will put on a podcast or put on
Yeah.
like a true crime
Have some
documentary.
snacks. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a millennial. Oh no,
Just
I forget to eat. And no, we don't do snacks. We don't do water. We come up after 3 hours with a headache. But I'll put on like a true
mm,
crime documentary or a and I'm just fucking rhinestoning away. I have a lovely time.
yeah.
Um, so I've always liked that aspect of it, but the actual making, I'm making like covered elastic is my favorite thing in the
I
world.
love making it. It's so fun.
Like I'm currently doing straps. If you're on
Ooh.
YouTube, you can see my
Cent-
pinned strap
this is
at
the
the moment.
centipede stage.
The centipede stage. Um, I love covered elastic. It's my favorite thing. And once I discovered how to make that, I was like, well, everything's covered elastic now.
Same, same. Absolutely everything.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, because I definitely wasted money on costume pieces that I could have just made.
Yeah. And again, it's a good way if you're kind of testing something.
Yeah.
It's a way to not spend so much money on it that then if it doesn't work,
If
you
you're not
know,
investing money in a costume that, yeah, then as doesn't, it's not your vibe, but it's not your thing. And then you've thrown, me
yeah.
and Fufu talked about this because she, obviously her record act, she had to like spend a lot of money off the bat for
Yeah.
that costume because it's a very unique costume. And I spent a lot of money on my Baby Bell costume, and it was the
Hmm.
same. It was like, this act better fucking work because I'm fucked.
Yeah. Like I say with my werewolf, I was like, I thought I can't make this myself. It's too specialized. It'll
Mhm.
just look shit. So I had to invest in it. But in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have done that act when I did it because it was such an investment and it has only barely made its money back
Yeah.
after
Oh no, no, we're
years.
not talking about acts. I've got a full costume that hasn't been out yet. That cost me a
I think
lot.
a side point to this as well is like, as a newbie pitfall, is putting too much into the costume and not enough into the act.
Oh yeah,
I've seen people come out with custom costumes for their first act and had no stage presence. If you can't sell, you know, a sparkly costume is not going to save a bad act. But if the act is great, it can, the costume doesn't have to be amazing to start because you can always upgrade. It's much easier to upgrade a costume than it is to develop stage presence, and like that stuff takes time.
yeah,
You can go in away in a weekend and rhinestone, a bra that was previously plain, but like focus on the act first.
yeah, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having, like, as you said, a cheap. This is where you see our language differences. A cheap Primark, not Primark. It's Primark up here. A cheap Primark bra or a cheap Primark set and put it on stage, and it'll work until
Mm-hmm.
you work out if this act is for you or not, and then you can invest in the fancy costume pieces.
Yeah,
I feel again this ties into, we'll probably end up looping back to a lot of this with costume with social media, because I think it's got
yeah,
a lot to speak for around costuming.
mm-hmm. For sure.
We yapped way longer than I thought we would about
Oh,
this. This is
geez.
what happens when we don't have we haven't done an episode just us for a while.
Yeah.
If you get any pluggables to plug?
It'll have happened before this goes out, but my business course, the recording will be available to pick up. If you are new, it's especially good because I talk about things like your press pack and applying to shows and not making some of the mistakes that we've covered in here and many more. So yeah, the live will have already happened, but the recording will be available. Um, and I think this is going to go out in May.
April.
April. Clandestine in May. Buy your tickets if you're in London.
Bye, all tickets. Um, I think this is April's episode. Yeah, it is. Jesus Christ. What have I got? Oh, I have a booking and branding workshop that's recorded that you can buy on my website, just in
It's
the
very good.
shop. Thanks, it's all right. So you can watch that and you can send us messages. Also, I mean, if you want to message us and tell us what stupid ass mistakes you guys made, we
Please
would
share.
fucking love that. Make us feel less ridiculous, please. As usual, we have a Patreon, which is free. We do chats over there. We always we're asking for suggestions for further topics as
Yep.
well. There is a second episode coming out this month as well, so
Mm-hmm.
you are getting 2 episodes every month at the
We're
moment. We will see
spoiling
what
you.
we are. We will see what happens in May. Oh, and also at the end of May, we are going to be doing a live watch of Beehoff competition night
This will be filled with coffee.
because it starts at 4 a.m. in the UK time.
Who wants to get up and join us?
Who wants to join us? It'll be so much fun. It'll be alive over on YouTube, so you do need to buy the live streaming yourself from Beehoff, because we will essentially be watching it on one screen and you'll be able to see our reactions and we'll
Mm-hmm.
chat about it. And also, we'll have the chat function, so you'll be able to chat to us as well. We can all be like, oh my God, this is amazing. Um, so yeah, please join us at 4
Yeah.
a.m. to 9 a.m. and then chances are we'll probably put the recording up on YouTube after that. So even
Mm-hmm.
if you can't watch it with us, you can watch the recording along with us. So you can
Yeah.
pretend like you're watching it with us if you don't want to be up
Yeah.
at 4
Watch
a.m.
it as civilized hour and just be like, oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah, when we will be back in bed.
Yeah. I'll have done a
Because
show the night before as well. So.
you're wild. I've already had to tell my partner that we can't go. We're house hunting after April, so I've already
You're
said to
like,
him, I
not
was
that
like, we
day.
can't. I was like, we can't go house hunting that weekend because I'm no,
No.
no. too much. But yes, we hope to see you there. That should be a laugh. Um, we'll see how well it goes. It might just be us chatting to each
Yeah,
other as usual, and then you can
we'll
watch
have
it
a
if you
great
want.
time.
It'll be fun. But yeah, thank you as always for listening to us, gang. We very
Yeah,
much
thank
appreciate
you for
it.
all the support and all the lovely messages that we've got.
We are genuinely consistently amazed.
Shocked. It's
Shocked.
wild.
We're like, oh, you like you
People
like
are listening
us?
to this.
Us? Us? Yeah, as I slowly slide down my seat. But no, thank you so much, gang. We love you very much, and we will speak to you next time.
Bye.